Once upon a time, in a small village in ancient India, there lived a young man named Siddhartha. He was the son of a wealthy king and lived a luxurious life in the palace. However, despite all his comforts, he was not happy. He felt a deep sense of emptiness and dissatisfaction with his life.
One day, Siddhartha decided to leave the palace and explore the world outside. He wanted to understand the meaning of life and find a way to overcome his inner turmoil. He traveled far and wide, meeting people from different walks of life and learning from their experiences. One day, he came across a group of ascetics who lived in the forest. They were known for their extreme practices of self-denial and self-control. Siddhartha was intrigued by their way of life and decided to join them under the guidance of the ascetics. Siddhartha learned the art of self-control. He learned to control his thoughts, emotions, and desires. He practiced meditation for hours on end, depriving himself of food and water for days at a time. He believed that by denying himself of all worldly pleasures, he could attain enlightenment. Years passed, and Siddhartha became known as Gautama Buddha, the enlightened one. He had finally found the answer to the meaning of life and the way to overcome suffering. He began to teach others his philosophy of self-control and inner peace. One day, a man came to Gautama Buddha and asked him, "Master, how do you control your thoughts and emotions? How do you achieve such a state of inner peace?" Gautama Buddha smiled and replied, "It is not about controlling your thoughts and emotions. It is about understanding them and letting them go. When you resist your thoughts and emotions, you give them power over you. But when you accept them and observe them without judgment, they lose their hold over you." The man was puzzled and asked, "But how do you do that? How do you observe your thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them?" Government. Buddha replied, "It takes practice and patience. You must first cultivate awareness of your thoughts and emotions. When a thought or emotion arises, simply observe it without reacting or judging it. Allow it to be and it will naturally pass away. With practice, you will develop the skill of observing your thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them." The man nodded thoughtfully and asked, "But what about desires? How do you control your desires?" Government. Buddha replied, "Desires are like waves on the ocean. They come and go. You cannot control them, but you can learn to ride them. When you have a desire, observe it without judgment. Understand that it is only a passing thought or feeling. Do not act on it impulsively. Instead, wait and observe. If the desire is still present after some time, then you can consider acting on it. But if it has passed, then let it go. The man was amazed by Gautama Buddha's wisdom and asked, "Master, how do you know when to act and when to let go?" To my Buddha smiled and replied, "That is the art of self-control. It is about finding the balance between action and non-action. It is about being mindful of your thoughts and emotions and choosing the right course of action based on your inner wisdom and intuition." The man nodded in understanding and thanked Gautama Buddha for his teachings. He left feeling inspired and motivated to cultivate the art of self-control in his own life. From that day on, Gautama Buddha continued to teach others the art of self-control and inner peace. He became known as one of the greatest spiritual teachers of all time, and his teachings continue to inspire and transform the lives of people all over the world. His message was simple yet profound, that true happiness and fulfillment come from within, from cultivating a state of inner peace and harmony. Gautama Buddha's teachings on self-control were particularly powerful, as they spoke to the human tendency to get carried away by our thoughts, emotions, and desires. He understood that it is only by learning to observe and control these inner states that we can free ourselves from suffering and find lasting happiness. Over the years, many people came to Gautama Buddha seeking guidance on how to cultivate self-control in their own lives. He taught them the importance of mindfulness, of being present and aware of one's thoughts and emotions at all times. He also taught them the importance of compassion, of being kind and gentle with oneself and others. One of Gautama Buddha's most famous teachings on self-control was the story of the two arrows. He explained that when we experience pain or suffering, it is like being struck by an arrow. This is the first arrow, but the second arrow is the one we inflict upon ourselves through our reactions to the first arrow. We may become angry, resentful, or fearful, which only causes us more pain and suffering. Gautama Buddha taught that the key to self-control is to avoid being struck by the second arrow. This means learning to observe our thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them. It means responding to difficult situations with wisdom and compassion rather than reacting impulsively and causing ourselves more harm. The art of self-control is not easy to master, and Gautama Buddha recognized this. He knew that it takes practice,